Hello. You who just arrived here, have you ever felt exhausted, as if you were carrying an enormous weight on your shoulders? Maybe the routine is difficult, or your heart feels burdened. I understand. Today, I want to invite you to something special, something that can help you lighten that load and find the serenity you long for. Shall we walk together? Just you and God. Before we begin, I ask that you find a quiet place where you can remain silent for a few moments. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and visualize all the weight dissipating from your shoulders. Sometimes, life feels like a storm, and in this rush we forget what is truly essential. God. Today, I want to share something that can revolutionize your life from the inside out. It's not about a distant belief, but a true, living, and welcoming presence that is with you at this very moment, in the midst of your challenges. Here on Steps of Wisdom, my goal is to help you feel this divine presence. Stay with me until the end because what we are about to experience together may be exactly the relief your soul needs. God is calling you, and He has something wonderful to reveal to you. Shall we? What does it truly mean to put God at the center of our lives? It's not just about following a hollow religious routine or automatically fulfilling a set of obligations. Putting God at the center is something deeper. It's about opening your heart and fully trusting what He wants to accomplish in your life, even in the smallest details. How often do we spend our lives chasing fleeting things, prioritizing what will no longer matter tomorrow? Work, worries, distractions. All of this is transient. So, the big question arises, where is the focus of our hearts? In the Gospel, Jesus clearly instructs us, seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. When God takes control, the pieces of life's puzzle begin to fit together. However, we often insist on solving everything alone, relying on our own strength. We only remember to seek divine help when things go wrong. God, in His infinite mercy, always welcomes us. But the secret lies in living daily with Him as our priority. When we place God at the center, our choices change, our thoughts are renewed, and even our relationships are transformed. Everything starts to revolve around a greater purpose, not just our desires or what we think is right, but what He teaches us. May you reflect deeply on this today and allow God to take the first place in your life, for that is the place He deserves. How easy it is to forget that God is present in the small things, isn't it? Often, we look for big signs or extraordinary events and ignore God's subtle manifestations in our daily lives. But He is not only the God of grand events. He is also in the simple, the ordinary, the subtle details of everyday life. Do you know that moment when a gentle breeze touches your face? Or when a friend calls you exactly when you most needed to hear a comforting word? God is there. We often wait for a spectacular miracle or a great turnaround, but the greatest miracle lies in the simplicity of living with an open heart to perceive the divine presence in everything. The Bible reminds us, the heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of His hands. This means that all creation reflects the Creator. From the abundant nature to the encounters He provides in our lives, everything is an opportunity to feel His presence. But due to the rush we live in, we fail to notice these precious details. How about doing an exercise today? Stop for a moment. Take a deep breath. Look around. Notice the small gestures of love that God manifests daily. He is there, walking by your side at every moment. When we do this, something incredible happens. Anxiety diminishes, peace grows in our hearts, and we start to live more lightly. Now, let's talk about a subject that often challenges us deeply, trusting in God. Talking about trust is easy, but living this trust, especially during moments when everything seems out of control, is a true exercise of faith. The Word urges us, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. This verse is an invitation to give up the control we so desire to have over everything. How often do we cling to our certainties, to our limited vision of things, and forget that God has a greater plan, one that surpasses our understanding? Trusting in God is not simply believing that He exists or that He is present when everything is going well. It is believing that, even when nothing makes sense, when we are going through dark valleys, He is guiding every step. It is an invitation to surrender our fears, anguish, dreams, and frustrations into His hands. If today you are going through a difficult moment, with your plans seeming to fall apart, I invite you, trust. Trust that God is in control, even when everything seems to be falling apart. Remember, the trials we face are often opportunities God uses to shape us, strengthen us, and draw us closer to Him. God's heart beats for love and forgiveness. These two elements are at the heart of Christian faith. To love and forgive are not just beautiful concepts. They are commands that transform and free us. The Word says, "Love one another as I have loved you." It is not a suggestion. It is a command. And when we live with God above all, we learn that loving and forgiving are essential paths to experiencing true peace. How often do we carry grudges that hurt us more than others? Forgiveness is the key that unlocks emotional and spiritual freedom. Jesus gave us the most sublime example on the cross, forgiving us even before we asked. And He invites us to do the same. Perhaps you feel that forgiving is impossible. I tell you, alone it might be, but with God, everything is possible. Take the first step, and you will experience a freedom that will transform your heart. Finally, let's talk about one of the greatest obstacles in our spiritual journey: ego. We live in a world that teaches us to put our wills and desires at the center of everything. But Jesus calls us to an opposite path. Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. To fully live what God has for us, we must let go of our pride and learn to listen to His voice. This requires humility, surrender, and constant prayer. When we allow God to shape our hearts, we experience a freedom that ego can never provide. True freedom lies in living to fulfill God's will, not our own desires. And now we come to one of the most beautiful parts of this journey: the reward of putting God at the center of everything. Jesus promised, "I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." He doesn't promise a life without challenges, but a life full of meaning and peace. When God is our priority, even problems become opportunities for learning. This peace transcends circumstances. It transforms the way we live and impacts everyone around us. May you choose today to put God at the center of your life. Before we finish, I have a special request for you. If this message touched your heart, subscribe here to the channel Steps of Wisdom. Leave a like and share it with someone who needs to hear these words. See you in the next video with more faith, serenity, and love. May God bless and keep you always. So be it. Gratitude.